Hello everyone, I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our first fight for UFC Vancouver, De Ridder versus Allen. It will be coming to us this Saturday, October 18th. And I gotta say, overall, I think this is a really fun card. And one of the best Canadian cards I've seen, at least on paper. I mean, shoot, look at the prelims, right? Drew Dober's on it, Matt Favola, Charles Jourdain versus Davy Graham, which could be fight of the night. Then you look at that main card, man. Mike Malott versus Kevin Holland. Manon Fior versus Jasmine Jasdavicius. Not only do I think that's actually a pretty good women's fight, but also with a lot of divisional relevance. I mean, Ayman Zahabi versus Marlon Vera. That's an awesome fight. And of course, the main event, De Ridder versus Allen. I will admit the card did take a hit with the original main event being Rainier De Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. Such a shame, but after letting it stew a bit, I do think De Ridder versus Allen is still a pretty good fight. But without further ado, let's get on to the card. In our first fight, we have Melissa Croden taking on Tainara Lisboa. Croden is 6-2 as a professional, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, while Lisboa is 7-3 as a professional, 4-1 in her last 5 fights as well. For Croden, this is going to be her UFC debut, mostly an LFA veteran. And of her 5 fights, her last loss is to the ranked contender, her Jacqueline Cavalcanti, in what was a pretty fun fight. I actually just looking up. I mean, Cavalcanti seemingly dropped Croden through 4 times in a round. But either way, it's going to be her UFC debut, and she gets to debut in Canada, so, good for her. As for Lisboa, she's currently 2-1 in the UFC, submitted Jessica Rose Clark, beat Rivana Oliveira via decision, and then lost in May to Luana Santos via keyhold. Looking at this is a very similar clash of styles. Both Croden and Lisboa have more so Muay Thai-esque striking. Now, they fight a bit differently, I would say. Lisboa is more than happy to entertain the wrestling and grappling. She did submit Jessica Rose Clark that way via rear naked choke. And she's much more on the gas and more forward pressure than Croden. While Croden, I find, is more so happier to content to fight on the outside with long stinging jabs, good leg kicks. That being said, Croden is no stranger to punching her way into the clinch or get into some sort of tie-up, then get the full plum, and then start just raining down knees on her opponent's hands via the the Muay Thai plum, or Muay Thai hold, as most MMA commentators call it. Technically, this is called a full plum when you wrap both your hands around their neck. Heck, and you just keep it tight, and then you just start blasting knees up to the midsection. And it's called a Thai plum, full plum. And Croden is very good at that. Honestly, I feel like Croden might be, or is going to be, the bigger athlete of the two. And I think that's going to play into how the clinch is going to be. It's going to play out exactly how these two are going to fight in the clinch. Because generally what's going to happen is if two fighters are relatively skilled in the clinch, then the bigger one is often going to win in terms of pressing their opponent against the fence and or winning the tie-up battle. And possibly even going for a sweep or a trip. As looking at their physical stats, is going to be 5'9", and for Croden, as well as a 69.5-inch reach. For Lisboa, it's 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. So as you can see, Croden is going to be the bigger athlete. Ironically enough, I honestly find her loss to Jacqueline Cavalcanti a much better fight. I value that higher than Lisboa beating Jessica Rose Clark and Rivana Oliveira. I find the loss to Cavalcanti much more impressive than the 2 wins, just because, well, one isn't in the UFC anymore, and the other one is not that good, in my opinion. Now, that being said, Luana Santos is a pretty good fighter, so we'll see how she makes waves in the bantamweight division. But honestly, I thought Croden did a good job being competitive with Cavalcanti after that first round. And overall, I might favor Croden to win in this one. Odds-wise has changed quite a bit. I remember at Open, it was minus 160 for Lisboa, plus 130 for Croden. Now it's plus 102 for Croden and minus 130 for Lisboa. Some money has come in for the Croden side, and I can understand it. She's going to be the bigger athlete of the two. And once again, if you're the bigger athlete and you're roughly at the same level in the clinch, then usually the bigger, stronger athlete will win. And I do find that as a significant advantage in this fight, as both these fighters are very Thai-esque. They have Thai backgrounds, and they do contest a lot in the clinch. So if Croden can win the clinch battle, I would think that's going to lead her to winning the fight. Now, can either of these two grapple? Absolutely, it's MMA, and if you want to mix things up to keep your opponent on their toes, is absolutely a smart strategy to do. Both of these two grappling are very similar. If both of them get top pressure, they have some good ground and pound and are at least able to keep their opponents under them. But if both of them get taken down, they're kind of a fish out of water. I mean, especially Lisboa, as you saw with Luana Santos, who just kind of ragdolled her every which way. So, again, it's kind of situational because both of them might just go for a trip in the clinch. And in that kind of situation, I'm probably going to favor Croden a bit more. But, again, could be either which way with this kind of fight. Honestly, this was a bit of a tricky fight to really think about because I honestly value both girls at roughly the same level. But I do think Croden has a bit more upside, and I do think she is a bit better overall than Tainara Lisboa. So, with that being said, I gotta go with Melissa Croden in this fight, and I'm thinking she's going to get a decision. Now, a TKO is very possible, very live in this fight, especially if Croden can get the full plum going and then starts going to town with those knees and elbows. I could definitely see her finishing Lisboa via TKO or something like that. And also, you got to think, recently, a lot of these fights outside of the Apex and whatnot, the home crowd's been doing great. Paris, all the Mexican/Mexican Americans for UFC Noche, Perth, Brazil, just last week. It's been pretty good for the home crowd, and I think this is going to happen again on this card. Now, I'm not going to use that logic for every single one of my picks, but in this type of fight, I actually think that's a really important thing to think about. So with that being said, once again, I'm going to go with Melissa Croden, and I'm going to pick her via decision. With that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you liked the video, comment and subscribe. Let me know who you think will win. Next up, we will have Azamat Bakoyev versus Yuri Beligorio. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. Thank you all for listening. Take care.